In only a short few years, Energylandia, a random park in Poland, has become an elite amusement park. They have over 15 roller coasters. Next year, they're gonna have 18, the same amount as Canada's Wonderland and Cedar Point. Just think about that. A place that's only been around since 2014 is about to have the same amount of coasters as a park that's been around 150 years. That's crazy. Granted, Cedar Point, their roller coasters are on a much larger scale compared to Energylandia's, how most of their rides are just family attractions, but the recent additions with Zadra, Hyperion, soon Abyssus, they become very anticipated, highly talked about roller coasters that seems to be on everyone's bucket list. So of all these new additions, what is the future of Energylandia? I mean, they already got their next 5 years set already, but I guess what's gonna happen 10 years down the line? They have no sign of stopping, so what's gonna be the future of Energylandia in about a decade or so? To understand what's gonna happen next, we first have to figure out what made Energylandia the way it is today, what helped them get to the point they're at. So Energylandia, they opened in 2014. They're a family-owned business. They weren't built by some major corporation like Merlin Entertainment. To see where they get their funding, we have to go back to 2009. That was when the whole financial crash happened. It wasn't just in the US, it happened all across the world. Europe was a big place where it impacted. Took a few years for everything to get back to normal. In 2013, Poland, they were still suffering. They had around an 11% unemployment rate, which apparently was too high for the country's standards. So the main objective was to lower unemployment, and Energylandia was their way to do that. Since the park would be opening in 2014, the Polish government and the EU, or European Union, they decided to give Energylandia a substantial amount of capital in order to transform the park and make it into a massive tourist destination, along with bringing jobs to a lot of locals in the area. So now we know how Energylandia is able to afford all their expensive purchases. Now the question is, are the Polish government and the EU gonna continue to invest in Energylandia? I mean, it's been over 6 years since they began this spending spree, and they have no sign of stopping until at least 2023. Now I'm wondering, is there still a reason to keep investing in this park? The whole reason was to lower unemployment. So did Energylandia achieve that goal? According to Poland's unemployment rate over the last decade, in 2013 there was 11%, 2014 though was 9%, 2015 7.5%, 2016 6%, 2017 5%, 2018 3.5%. Obviously there's a clear trend that unemployment is going down, so yeah, Energylandia, it's working. The only other variable that remains is Energylandia actually turning a profit. Are they getting enough attendance to justify all these investments? For the 2018 attendance report, Energylandia, they had roughly 1 million people come to the park that year, which isn't that great. 1 million typically isn't enough to sustain a massive theme park of this caliber. But in 2019, after they built Zadra, they had a 60% increase of 1.6 million. That's a pretty dang good number given a 1-year time in between. 2020, they were projected to do 2.1 million, but of course COVID happened, the whole pandemic, so they're not going to get that number they were projecting by the slightest. Now that Energylandia, they're back in the same situation as they were 6 years ago. Unemployment is up again, people are losing their jobs. Is it still worth continuing to invest in Energylandia? Yes. According to all this data, this technique obviously works for the country to stabilize the economy, and because this method has just been proven, I don't suspect that Energylandia will have any massive budget cuts anytime soon, hopefully. Assuming Energylandia, they keep up the pace of adding 2 to 3 coasters every single year, what does the future look like for them adding new attractions, but especially roller coasters? In their 2 biggest years, starting off in 2018, unveiling Speed the Ride and Hyperion. In 2019, they unveiled 3 new roller coasters, Frida and Draken, which you know were smaller family attractions. Then of course, Zadra, the massive RMC masterpiece that opened to the world as the tallest hybrid coaster, at least until Iron Gwazi comes and ties it for the record. 2020, nothing is opening this year, of course, because of the whole COVID pandemic. 2021, there's going to be 3 new coasters. One is Abyssus, which was supposed to open this season, but it's being pushed till next year because, of course, again, the whole COVID pandemic. No surprise there. The other 2 coasters they're getting is a mine train that was recently just confirmed. There was red track spotted at Energylandia. The other family coaster they're getting is another family boomerang, which doesn't make any sense to me because they already have one of these. They have a boomerang rebound model, and now they're getting a boomerang 238 meter. There's not much difference between these. They're both family coasters. The size variants aren't that different. They're basically the same if you want a comparison for how the ride's gonna be. There's an exact clone that was sent to Summerland in Denmark that opened this year. I still don't get why they're getting another one of these. I guess it's just more to the pile. After 2021, the rumored to get a tilt coaster in 22 or 23. And you heard me right, Energylandia is gonna get the next generation of the Vekoma tilt. And hey, that's pretty unique. Vekoma has only made one of these tilt coasters. That was in 2002 when they built Gravity Max at Discovery World. So it's pretty interesting that after 2 decades since the initial model, Energylandia seems interested for Vekoma to build a revitalization of a forgotten model. After the tilt coaster, that's all the information we know about any new ride coming soon to Energylandia. But if you notice something, all 4 coasters that are coming soon, they have something in common. They're all going to be made by Vekoma. Every single one of these 4 are from Vekoma. And it's not just these 4. If you didn't know, 6 out of the 15 operating coasters at the park are from Vekoma. So it's clear Energylandia, they like to work with this manufacturer a lot. And this is actually how we're going to figure out what else Energylandia is going to get. Back when the park was first starting, they went with kind of cheaper manufacturers. Vekoma, of course, and SBF Visa. They were responsible for building a lot of the family coasters that were just starting out. And they had Vekoma build their first major coaster with Mayan, which was just a Vekoma SLC. 2016, they built Formula, a first of its kind Vekoma, and then it just snowballed from there, and now we're seeing Abyssus. Now, why do we just see a lot of Vekomas? I think Energylandia, they like to get comfortable with the manufacturer. They have a manufacturer build a smaller attraction, and then just build a relationship to see if the company is the right fit to build one of their flagship coasters. I know what you're thinking, that can't be true because of Hyperion and especially Zadra. Zadra, that was RMC's first introduction to Energylandia. They didn't build any ride prior. And then Hyperion was built by Intamin. In 2018 was their first experience building a roller coaster at this park. Well, not really. Energylandia, they had Intamin build some other attractions. They were flat rides, not roller coasters. So that gave Energylandia a feel for what Intamin was able to do and had them build Speed in a Hyperion. RMC is another story. They didn't build any other kind of flat ride or roller coaster before Zadra. So why did Energylandia want to go with RMC to build their next flagship attraction? The easy answer is they heard about the hybrids in America and wanted to build one for their park, which is likely, but I think the more logical answer is Vekoma had something to do with it. Just hear me out. Back in 2013, Rocky Mountain Construction and Vekoma, they signed an agreement that allowed Vekoma to oversee and sell any Rocky Mountain Construction products internationally. So since Vekoma, they were like RMC's sales representative, and because Vekoma, they had a very strong relationship with Energylandia, I think they convinced the park to go with RMC to build Zadra, even though they had no experience working with them, but they trusted Vekoma, so that's why they built Zadra. So what other coasters can we see the park getting later down the line? I mean, after the ones that are already planned. I for sure think there's gonna be more Vekomas. They keep working with that company, and I don't see any reason for that relationship to end. Determining which Vekoma may go to the park, that is very hard to say, because almost every single new one has been some original model that we've never seen before. Formula, that was the first ever Space Warp. Abyssus, that's gonna be the first ever Vekoma Shockwave. The park really loves originality, so I can't really predict what we know nothing about. Now, would the park work with different manufacturers? Sure, would they build a B&M Giga or RMC T-Rex because they have so much disposable capital? Maybe. RMC T-Rex is a more likely possibility because they just worked with RMC. B&M Giga, that may be a little more of a stretch. Just because we've seen no interaction with B&M and Energylandia. So until we see some sign, we're basically just playing the waiting game till something can happen between those two companies. Like I keep saying, Energylandia, they have stronger relationships with other companies, so B&M kind of looks like an afterthought. But comment down below on what you think may happen in the early or distant future of Energylandia. What other coasters we may get after the 4 that's already planned, and maybe what the park's gonna be like in 10 years. They're likely to have more coasters than Magic Mountain, and not just because they have way more family coasters than that park. Energylandia's future looks bright, so leave your thoughts down below. Please consider subscribing, click my logo right there, and as always, thank you for watching.